storm is here, and it's here in the form of the lovely and brilliant Kim Horcher from Nerd Alert. Kim, what do you got for us?
All right, first one from Nick Anand. When you sign off saying Young Turks, is that supposed to be like a rapper ending the song saying Young Money?
I like that question. I just like to say it like, Young Turks, what now? Okay. No, you know what it's left over from? It's actually a great question. From radio. When we started the show on radio, and I worked in radio for a long time, you have to keep saying the name of the show so that people remember it and write it into their books, that they keep diaries. That's how you get ratings. So that's why when you listen to the radio, you're like, 101.5, Magic 101.5, 101.5, right? So we used to say at the beginning and end of each of the segments, Young Turks, right? So that's where it's left over from. Okay, next.
Or you drop a mic also every time. Moabi asks, does Dave Koller really disagree with a lot of TYT content, or am I getting a skewed view from the Friday post games?
No, he really disagrees. No, Dave's a strange cat, man. I've known Dave for over 35 years, okay? And he gets stranger by the day. And so it's both real and not real, meaning that substantively, we probably agree like 90% of stuff, right? But he's a crabby dude, so he likes to nitpick around the edges. Be like, nah, you like to listen to the liberal blogosphere too much. Nah, right? Like, dude, you're more liberal than I am, so what's your problem, right? So it's genuine. There's no question that it's genuine. But the severity of it seems overly pronounced. The reality is we agree on most of the substance. All right, next.
Anders E. asks, Chief Turk, will you at last bring TYT to Europe this year? We have kebabs, champagne, and blondes. What the flick do we need to do?
I'm glad you mentioned youtube.com/whattheflickshow. All right. The blondes, I'm okay on. Champagne, I'm okay on. Kebabs, now you're talking my language. No, it is coming. It is. A version of it will be here this year. There, I said it. I know I've been teasing you guys that it's going to come in some form for a long time, but we're now at the doorstep, so we're coming to your house. All right, next.
KVG asks, if Rubio is so opposed to the Vatican-brokered U.S.-Cuba deal, does that mean he hates the Pope?
Yes. Next.
Wow. Nick Anand asks, what made you a Steelers fan? Also, who's your favorite NBA/soccer team?
Okay, Steelers question is one I get a lot. So I grew up in New Jersey. Why the Steelers? Because when I came to the country, it was 1978. First football game I ever saw was Steelers-Cowboys when the Steelers won 35-31. But even before the game started, it was a phenomenal game. And I was like, oh, I love football. This crazy sport they have, but they run into each other. I like it. Okay, high five. But even before the game started, they're like, okay, are you for the pretty boy Cowboys or the guys with missing teeth in the black and gold? Jack Lambert, their linebacker back then, didn't used to have teeth. I'm like, fuck, those guys look awesome. I'm going black and gold, right? And I got some Steelers pajamas. Boom. Been a Steelers fan ever since. Besides which, dude, the Jets and the Giants, so boring. Giants and Jets. Anyway, favorite teams. Growing up, loved Magic Johnson. I was a huge Lakers fan, but I really can't stand Kobe. So now I'm lost in the wilderness in the NBA. And so it almost makes you a fair weather fan. Like when I really like the Mavericks team that won, and because of the personalities on that team, especially because in basketball there's like mainly 5 guys. You either like those guys or you don't like those guys, right? But overall, I would say, you don't want to talk about boring, I'm a Spurs fan, right? Because they are professionals. Look it up in the book. I love Popovich, and I love their attitude, which is that practice solves everything. Okay, now in soccer, fan out about you. Look it up. Next.
Tim Gruber asks, why did the chicken cross the road?
Fuck off, dude. I don't know.
Oh, shit.
No, I love you. I don't know. Next.
Sirocco Moonglade asks, why wouldn't you want to live in Denmark? Its inequality is far less horrific than here in America.
Because there's something rotten in Denmark. Now listen, man, I got nothing wrong with Denmark. I don't know if I said at some point that I wouldn't want to live in Denmark. No, Denmark sounds lovely. The only reason I wouldn't live in Denmark is because unless maybe we could, by this time it might be solved. But in the old days, I wouldn't live anywhere outside the U.S. because I'm addicted to football, American football. I must have my fix of absurd violence where people crash into one another and tackle each other. It's a little strange. Okay, so that's why back in the day in Turkey, I'm like, there's no ESPN. How do people live here? So that's my own craziness. Last one.
Okay, Tony, who might be a vampire, asks, what are your thoughts on becoming a lobbyist for good causes?
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Look, you have to understand something. So, like, I try to clarify this all the time, right? There's nothing wrong with rich people. There's nothing, if your dentist down the street is rich, bless his heart. There's nothing wrong with Oprah, right? The question is, what do you do with the money? If you use the money to get an unnatural advantage in our political system, then I've got an issue, right? Same thing with lobbyists. You want to lobbyist for a good cause? You could say that the Wolfpack, in essence, lobbies for a great cause, right? So there's nothing wrong with that in concept. But when the lobbyists take over and they run our politics, and based on the cash that they give politicians through independent expenditures, campaign contributions, and future jobs, that's the problem. So you got to fix the system. Doesn't mean you get rid of all lobbyists. You actually make it a system where they actually care about the ideas of the lobbyists rather than the cash of the lobbyists. That's what we're trying to do with Wolfpack. Wolf-pack.com. Thank you, Kim Horcher. Everybody check out Nerd Alert. Go.